I think the two biggest issues that wreak havoc on a person's love life is low self-esteem and bitterness. Before I get too deep, let's go over the definition of both. Self-esteem is confidence in one's own worth. Bitterness is being angry, hurt, or resentful because of your bad experiences or unjust treatment. Let's first dive into low self esteem. Self esteem issues usually stem from your childhood. Everything goes back to the childhood. They say the first 7 years of your life have a very strong impact on how you are as an adult, unless you realize how your childhood affects you and heal from it. But the problem is, a lot of people don't even realize they have things to heal from. My self esteem issues stemmed from a mixture of daddy and mommy issues. My dad, he was very inconsistent. He would, be around for a couple of months and then he would disappear for a couple of years and then he would come back for a couple of months and then he would disappear again. So, yeah, that definitely created insecurity in me. My mom, she was physically there, but mentally I felt like she was somewhere else. And to be honest with you, I always felt like we were a burden to her. And she would talk to us like we were slaves. Like a lot of times I didn't feel like I was her daughter. I felt like I was her slave or her servant. Like I felt like we were just a burden to her. And a lot of times when I would try to respectfully speak my mind, she would always just shut me down and tell me stay in a child's place. So I didn't really feel like I had a voice. And I think because there was a lack of love and attention from my parents, I subconsciously seek that in guys. So I was boy crazy all throughout my childhood, my teenage years. I was always lovesick over some boy. I was up in my room listening to Jacket Edge, feeling lovesick about some boy. And it's like, girl, you're 10. Go ride a bike. Go read a book. But I was so preoccupied with love or lack thereof that I forgot the most important love of all, and that's self love. I'm gonna be honest, I chased guys all throughout elementary, middle school, high school, even some years after. What I mean by chase, I was simply forcing things. I was settling. I was ignoring red flags. That is technically chasing. Whenever you feel that desperate attachment to something, that's chasing. And to be honest with you, I can't blame any man in my past who mistreated me because even though I didn't deserve it, I did allow it. I disrespected myself. I devalued myself. I cheated on myself. My discernment was always there. I just ignored it because I wanted to fill a void. I lied to myself and told myself, oh, it's just your anxiety. Oh, you're tripping. Oh, you're paranoid. No, it was my spirit telling me something's not right. You need to walk away if you don't feel heard, if you don't feel seen, if you don't feel respected. That is a huge sign to walk away. If it's not an equal give and take, that's a huge sign to walk away. But a lot of times we don't, and we hold on for dear life. The less a person gives us, the more we hold on. And the reason why is because of low self esteem, low self worth. We don't know our worth, we don't know our value. That's why we think trauma bonding is love, toxicity is love, making up and breaking up is love. No, it's not. God says love is patient. God says love is kind. God says love does not envy or boast. It isn't rude. It doesn't insist on its own way. It doesn't rejoice in wrongdoing. Reading that description of what love is makes me realize I've never really had that with a man. I've never had that. And the reason why I've never had that is because I didn't even have that for myself. I didn't love myself. So how can I sit here and wholeheartedly say, I love you? And how can I sit here and say, I love you when you're mistreating me and dogging me out? That's not love. That's an unhealthy attachment. That's trauma bonding. By the way, self esteem issues can affect men too. Men can have self esteem issues as well. Let's just say you have a really good guy, very respectable, very loving, attentive, all that. He's with this chick who is an absolute devil. She's chaotic, she's argumentative, she's toxic, all these things. And you wonder, why is he with her? He's with her because he has low self esteem too. The four things that helped me build my self esteem was number one, healing from my childhood, forgiving my parents. Number two, taking care of myself, eating healthy, working out. Number three, facing fears. Whenever you face fears, that helps you build confidence. And last but not least, number four, getting close to God, knowing that my worth comes from God. Now, let's talk about bitterness. Bitterness can stem from childhood trauma, but in most cases, bitterness stems from negative experiences you've had in previous romantic situations. Let's just say your last two boyfriends cheated. Because they cheated, you subconsciously feel like all men cheat. Because you feel like all men cheat, you have trust issues. Because you have trust issues, you have a hard time letting someone in, letting down your walls. Do you see how this can become a problem? Or even worse, you might do to them what was done to you. For example, if your ex cheated on you, you might cheat on your new partner just for the simple fact that you haven't healed from what your ex did. Just like with low self esteem, you have to heal in order to let go of that bitterness. You also have to realize how low self esteem led you into these relationships that cause bitterness in the first place. You can't sit here and say, I want love, I want a relationship, when you have such a negative outlook on relationships. And yes, I understand your negative outlook, your bitterness, it stems from fear. But guess what? There's no fear in love. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. For fear has to do with punishment, and whoever fears has not been perfected in love. Just a little side note, that's why I don't like when people say, oh, you should fear God. I fear God. You're a God fearing woman. I don't like when people say that because I feel like if God is love and God tells us there's no fear in love, why should I fear God? God is not this dictator, strict parent. God is loving. God is gracious. God is understanding. God is merciful. So yeah, that's just a little side note. I know, some people will disagree. But yeah, I don't believe in saying that I fear God. If anything, I revere God. I respect God. I submit to God. But no, I don't fear God because God is love. Like, why would I fear such a loving force? But, anyways, you cannot go into any relationship fearful. That doesn't mean you don't use your discernment. That doesn't mean you don't listen to your intuition. But you just trust God to reveal to you if that person should be here or not. Stop overthinking. Stop worrying. Stop making up these negative outcomes in your mind. Because guess what? Whenever you do that, is because you subconsciously feel like you're not worthy. Guess what? If you don't feel like you're worthy, you're not worthy. If you do believe you're worthy, you are worthy. If you have low self esteem and if you have bitterness in your heart, in my humble opinion, it's best not to enter any relationship until you've healed. That doesn't mean you have to be perfect to be in a relationship, but you do have to surrender to God and you have to have a healthy relationship with yourself. So that's all I have for you guys today. I will see you guys soon. Adios, amigos.